I've lived in Lafayette. We moved here in 1979, early May of '79.
Okay. And so the city was already incorporated then.
Yes, it was.
And what are your recollection back when you first moved here? Were people talking about the recent incorporation? Were they talking about the benefits of it, or it just was de facto, it's a city?
When we arrived, yes, it was no longer an issue. There was some residual talk about some additional annexations of the city by neighborhoods that saw the benefits of being part of an incorporated Lafayette. But by then it was a little bit late. There was one annexation, and I believe that was the Sunset Loop area and maybe a few acres around Ocklanis High School. And but then that was it at that point. We had moved actually to Walnut Creek in 1968, and I worked in San Francisco, and so I did commute. And in those days, you could go from Walnut Creek to San Francisco on a routine basis during peak hour in 45 minutes.
Okay, and then you've been very involved with city government. Tell us about your experience.
Well, I got started, we moved in 1979, and our kids got active in the swim teams and in the LMYA soccer programs, Little League, and that sort of thing. And because my wife was teaching at Stanley, we were able to have our kids go to Lafayette School so she could pick them up. I would drop them off, she would pick them up, and rather than Burton Valley, where our neighborhood was scheduled to go. So we got a little extra special dispensation. So at any rate, my routine was to drop the kids off, and one day I saw a very small non-injury accident happen at the corner of Moraga Road and School Street, right at the theater. And so I wrote and it was a kid that was knocked down by a car. Kid was not injured, got up, went to school. But at any rate, it's quite a shock when you're sitting there dropping your kids off and you see this kid laying on the street.
Yeah.
I didn't actually see the impact, but
yeah.
I saw the kid. So I wrote a very nasty letter to the editor, to the Sun, blaming the mayor for the lousy intersection and what was going on at that intersection. And it was published on Wednesday, and on Saturday our kids were playing soccer. I knew the mayor's name, but I didn't know what she looked like. It was Gail Okema. And she came over to me during the soccer game and said, Erling, or Mr. Horn, if you don't like it, join, get involved. And so that's how I got involved. I went down and filled out the application for commissioners. It's almost the same as it is today, and that was back in 1982, 81 or 82. I checked off a whole pile of boxes, including the Planning Commission, and I started the interviewing process. And I had no idea how everything worked. Absolutely not. Just that I had that challenge from the mayor. And so I went through a pile of interviews, Planning Commission and Traffic Circulation Commission, Traffic Commission, and I ended up on Parking Commission and was appointed to that. And it was a rather lengthy process. I think I interviewed for maybe a better part of a year. And so that's where I got started.
Okay.
I served on City Council I'll start with Parking Commission. Parking Commission was Parking Commission 1982 to 1986. Then I was appointed to the Planning Commission in 1986 and served until 1995. And was elected to City Council in 1995, and then in 1999 my turn came up as mayor and was reelected in 1999 for another term to 2004, and I served as mayor in 2004. In addition to that, I was on the Blue Ribbon Committee, which was established in 1983, I believe, and it was chaired by Don Tatzin's wife, Ellen Rensis, and served on that, and that was to figure out how we were going to turn Mount Diablo Boulevard into an acceptable retail avenue, something that would improve our downtown. At the time, it was a strip of bacon. It was 4 lanes with a fifth middle lane for turning plus parking. You could not buy a deli sandwich in Lafayette. One of the reasons that we were not able to attract certain retails because of that. There was no ambience. There was no street scene. There was no pedestrian activity. It was a straight out sort of a boulevard with no stops.
Well, there was the Roundup.
There was the Roundup Saloon and El Charro and not
Cape
too much
Cod
in between. Cape Cod House. We had 3 lumber yards at the time, and of course a stone yard. Okay, so I was parking commissioner, then planning commissioner, then because I was involved in the city council, I became involved in the League of California Cities. I was sort of assigned that project by the mayor, Ann Grodin at the time, and that led to president of the East Bay Division of League of California Cities. I was active that throughout my full time as a city council member. I was also involved in housing and community affairs portion of the League of California Cities, so I was chair of the Housing, Community and Economic Development Committee, chair of the Helen Putnam Award for 1 year. And then because I was involved in the League of California Cities, I was appointed to represent the National League of Cities to the National Fire Protection Association. They have a number of technical committees that develop the standards for our fire code. And the National League of Cities was interested in standard number was 1710, which was the standard for professional fire departments. It's develops how a fire department operates, what the length of time, how quickly they should respond to an alarm.
Keep going down the list there.
Yeah, and then in addition to that, I had in my work with Binks Manufacturing, which manufactured paint application equipment, which was atomization of flammable materials. I was involved also with the National Fire Protection Association on technical committees 33 and 34, which is the application of flammable coatings, paint. And that's number 33. Number 34 is flammable coatings in dip tanks for dipping products. Those two technical committees were very broad because coating application affects almost all industries.
I'm going to stop because we're not doing anything on paint right now.
Okay.
But your public service. What else you got?
Okay. And that was part of public service because it developed the standards for those areas. Then I was a member of the Contra Costa County Transit Authority. It's County Connection, their bus service.
Yeah.
I was on the board of directors from 1996 through 2013.
Let's wait till the truck goes by. Sorry, that's kind of loud. By the way, while that truck's going by, I really enjoyed the discussion at the mayor's coffee about. I love transportation. That was really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
That was a good one. Just wait till that truck moves on. Okay, back to the list.
And then, so I was on County Connection Board of Directors and served chair twice. and involved in lobbying efforts in Washington, D.C., so I had a taste of that, asking Congress for money, trying to meet with our senators, and which was quite a chore, especially with Barbara Boxer and Dianne Feinstein. It was almost impossible to meet them. At any rate, in addition to that, I was on the Contra Costa County, the Central Contra Costa Solid Waste Authority, our garbage operation, on the board of directors from 1997 through conclusion of my service as mayor in the city. Then I served on the board of directors of the Bay Area Air Quality Management District for a few months. That was in 2004, right at the end of my term. And I was appointed as a General Assembly delegate for the Association of Bay Area Governments, was involved in that. With the city, I'm a member of, and continue to be a member of, the Oversight Board of the successor agency of the Lafayette Redevelopment Agency. That happened when the governor got rid of redevelopment agencies for cities. Then I'm a member of the Public Art Committee, currently a charter member, and let's see, another one is Downtown Street Improvement Master Plan Committee, continuing on that. And that, also a charter member, it's called the SIMPIC, that is involved in our landscaping and street furniture and how the downtown master plan is implemented, and it's been quite successful.
And what about the Loma Linda Arts Council?
I was a member of the board of directors of the Loma Linda Arts Council for 2 years, concluding my service with them last year.
Okay. Now, so my takeaway from all that is you don't like public service at all.
No, public service, well, it's our duty as citizens to be involved in this. Our system of government requires us to be, not only to vote, but be involved. And this is my effort to maintain that tradition. As Benjamin Franklin said, we have a republic if you can keep it. And my goal is to help keep it. This is a plate that I received from Mayor Gail Okaba when I concluded my term as a parking commissioner. And this was the award. We didn't do plaques in those days. We did these melamine plates that you could not eat off of because this is lead paint.
And it was chipped when they gave it to you?
No.
Oh, okay.
I've been using it for other things.
Okay, that is great. I got a question. Yeah.
And it's so beat up that the Historical Society doesn't want it. Well, I feel I have an obligation. I don't do a lot of other things. I'm not involved in the church and that sort of thing. And it's public service. And I think that it's, my wife is a school teacher. She sort of led the way because she did a lot of extracurricular activities that good teachers do. And it became sort of second nature. It doesn't, since the key in Lafayette is that it's unpaid. And since it's unpaid, it gives you the flexibility to say no without feeling guilty about it. So you can do public service on your own terms. If you don't feel like doing a project, you don't do it. I think that's quite unique that City of Lafayette has an unpaid city council. It's even bad form to submit an expense account. There are cities in our area here that everybody's on the payroll, every commissioner, everybody's on. There will be city council meetings that there's no one that's not on the payroll in that meeting. And there's something wrong with that in my view. Our system of government was not founded on paying everybody to be involved in local government or state government for that matter. So that's,
yeah,
and
I
then,
can think of a few trustees. There's some people who need to hear that comment.
and the other observation is that my work at the League of Cities is the more you pay a city council people and the mayor, the lousier the city is run.
How's Lafayette changed?
Oh, it's changed significantly. It went from a strip of bacon to the downtown with no street scene and no place that you could buy a deli sandwich, with a library that was not adequate, to quite a different place where we now have a street scene. We have a park in the center of town that people used when we moved here. People did not use that park. It was abandoned for all practical purposes. And the school district has been able to maintain its standards. And that, coupled with the work that we've done as a community with our downtown, with our master plan, with the master plan of the city, and our various other development-related documents, including our general plan, we have been able to keep the houses off our hills and with landscaping to the point where even people that were against landscaping on Mount Diablo Boulevard now request it. And I do have one antidote that I'd like to pass on, and that is after the Park Hotel came in, about 5 years it had been in, or maybe a bit longer, maybe 10 years. I had some guests from Detroit. I had some business down at the General Motors plant, General Motors Toyota combination plant called NUMMI at the time. And so I had a couple of engineers from my company out from Detroit to visit NUMMI in Fremont. I put them up at the Park Hotel. It was on their expense account. And it was Christmas time. It was about 10 days before Christmas. And so from Fremont, instead of coming up the freeway, I went through Oakland and then went through Canyon and showed them the redwoods that we have. And then from Canyon, of course, to Moraga, to Lafayette, to the Park Hotel. When we arrived at the Park Hotel had a basket full of red apples on the counter. And at the same time, there were some third grade kids singing Christmas carols. It must have been from one of the churches. It just happened. It was so incredibly charming and wonderful to have that. These two individuals from Detroit, rather well-traveled, was really charmed and impressed by that.
Yeah, that's nice.
And one of the questions they asked me how many people live in Lafayette, in this area, which included the places that we went through, part of Orinda, Moraga, and Lafayette. And I gave them the number, which was at the time was about 50,000. And the question, they were shocked. Where do you have 50,000 people? We don't see any houses. And that's because of our general plan.
Yeah.